Hello everyone, this is Tyler Sarkane speaking. Today we're going to be learning about George Washington, the first president ever elected. On February 22nd, 1732, a man called Augustine Washington's wife was pregnant with a boy. At that morning of February 22nd, 1732, the baby was born. When he grew up, he was a very honest boy. And during his time, there were wars. Generals would wear stuff like this: tricorn hat, stock neck, scarf, fitted coat, waistcoat. They would walk with a walking stick, leather boots with deep cuffs, and breeches. So, when he was not very old, George Washington cut down a cherry tree in his own yard. But for being very honest, he told his father what he had done. His father was very, very disappointed, but he was probably happy that he was honest. When George Washington grew up, he had a soldier called Alexander Hamilton, and he was one of his people that would work in his army. George Washington felt like Alexander Hamilton as a son, but he wasn't. In a time of the 1700s, a man called John Adams and Thomas Jefferson were made poor. They had John Adams, George Washington, and Thomas Jefferson would become friends. George Washington was not a Christian, but he was a very honest boy. He was a Freemason. In 1799, George Washington got a very sick disease. He had and back then in the 1700s, when you were sick, they would take you to the doctor and they would bleed out your sickness. George Washington did that about several times. And on his last time in 1799, he died at only the age of 67. But sometime in his life, he became the president. He was president for not as long as usual, but he was not a Republican or anything. All he was a very honest man, a general, and one of the best presidents in the United States. Come back tomorrow. Come back next Sunday, and you'll see what happens about John Adams.